Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. I am your host, Joe Kuzma, and as always, the Steel City Underground podcast, proud to be presented by our official partner, StubHub. Take a night off from nights in. Learn more at steelcityunderground.com/tickets. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, returning listeners, new listeners, very geeked up, amped up, and excited because a player is on the show today that I've been a flag bearer for, a big supporter of since he was drafted in the 6th round of the 2015 draft out of Central Michigan. I am talking about none other than Steelers defensive lineman Letterius LT Walton. LT, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Like I just said a few moments ago, and I tell everyone, it's like I could complain, but no one would really care to hear me complain on this show. So I guess first things first, I asked how you were doing, but how are you feeling right now this time of the year between all of the different off-season workouts and now heading into training camp?
I feel good. Going through the off-season, you're always itching to get back out and, get back with the team and, compete for a world championship.
That's good to hear, and I was telling you off air that I was being a little fanboyish because I've been like a torchbearer for you. I was very excited to see you get some substantial playing time last year. You got your first start in December. You started every game from that point forward. Is that something that you were? You worked very hard for. A few guys, had to look back. You've never been a practice squad guy. So was this kind of something that was just kind of easing into the works? Did the coaches approach you about this when Cam Heyward went down? Tell us a little bit about that.
Going into, transitioning into a starting role when guys like Cam, had to go through injuries, you never want to see, one of your teammates go down like that. But, at the end of the day, everyone comes to work. Everyone, is headed towards the same goal. And when someone goes down, you have to be ready at all times. So when it came down to the situation that we had, Cam getting injured, I had to step in and, fill a big void because, Cam's a great player. But we have to continue to, win games. And, the ultimate goal is to win a world championship. And that's our goal.
Yeah, and ultimately that's what we would all like to see as Steelers fans as well. It's huge having Cam coming back. We can't understate that. But what kind of support did he give you guys last year? Saw him always on the sidelines. Seemed like he was a very supportive guy.
Oh, definitely. There's times where guys can get injured and, feel, down and feel like, that they have no role. But Cam definitely is not that type of guy. Cam, being hurt, he's still, he's there every single day, coaching us up and, giving us tips and everything to be better. And, he no matter him being out or him being in, Cam's the same person.
Yeah, and it's great to see him back out there. And you know what? I didn't want to segue into it yet, but I've followed Cam Heyward for a very long time, even as an Ohio State football fan. And I guess I'm just going to bring it up now. You grew up in the Detroit area, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so does that mean you're a Michigan guy growing up?
I was not a Michigan fan. I never really kept up with Michigan football like that. Me going to Central Michigan, I'm a Central Michigan fan.
And that's the perfect answer. That's the one that most of us wanted to hear. One of my usual co-host, Brian's a big Buckeyes fan. I'm kind of a casual observer, and myself, I was at a smaller college, so Ohio State's the big thing over in Ohio here. But I'm going to return back to the Detroit thing. But just talking about Cam Heyward, is that someone who took on a mentorship role with you, or are there some other players that were very, let's say, influential in your progress?
Definitely. Cam is a leader. He's a great leader at that. He does everything the right way. he goes about, he takes everything seriously. And, I feel like Cam is a great role model for someone who, is coming into, the NFL and, you need somebody to follow out. He's the perfect person to do that.
For the upcoming year now, speaking with some of the coaching staff and some of that, has anyone discussed what type of role you're going to be playing in the upcoming 2017 season?
You really never know exactly what, is expected every year. Our goal at the end of the day is to be world champions. So whatever's necessary to become a world champion, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and I even noticed that when you became a starter at the tail end of last season, the final 4 games heading into the playoffs, you were playing on both sides of the line because not only was Cam Heyward injured, but Stephon Tuitt got banged up a little bit. Is there any preference? Ultimately you want to be on the field no matter what, but do you like the left side? Do you like the right side?
At the end of the day, both sides is football, so you got to be able to do both, be versatile.
Well, I've got a tougher question for you. Those guys that are coming off the edge next to you, I don't want to say if one makes your job easier, but what is maybe the comparison or the contrast between having someone like Bud Dupree next to you and someone like the veteran James Harrison?
Having those guys next to you, the outside linebackers, you got Bud, who's got amazing talent, and James Harrison, amazing talent guy who's been in the league for a very long time. His knowledge of the game is amazing. So, you got those guys next to you who have been there and done that. They're going to tell you things that they know that you may not know that's going to help you. So, it's always good to have those veteran guys like James Harrison next to you because it's going to do nothing to help you.
Yeah, I can imagine. And even coming into that role, what was it like for you meeting James Harrison for the first time? Debo's a hard worker. He comes to work every day.
Everyone knows that. Like I said, he's been in the league for a very long time, and, his mindset never changes. It's always to be a world champion.
And speaking of someone who's been in the league for a very long time, he started with the Steelers back in 1994, and that would be one of your position coaches, John Mitchell. What's it like working for Coach Mitchell?
Working for Coach Mitch has been nothing but an honor. Coach Mitch is a great guy. He's a great coach. He goes about his business the correct way. He gets us prepared day in and day out, and Coach Mitch does nothing but strictly, enforces technique and doing things the right way, and I love that.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable to think he goes all the way back to practically Bill Cowher's early years as Pittsburgh Steelers coach. So definitely the longest tenured coach, I believe, on the Steelers staff right now, at least continuous service there. With these great coaches and players surrounding you, and also even going back through your career, high school, college, what's the best piece of advice that anyone's ever given you?
I feel like I've learned a lot since meeting Coach Mitchell. Coach Mitch has taught me a lot about the game that I didn't know prior to joining the Steelers, and I learned a lot from him. But he's a big emphasis guy on technique. So I feel like that right there alone has helped me become a better player.
Now, I'm going to ask you this, too, because we're talking about even going back a ways. You're a multi-sport guy. You played baseball and basketball, I believe?
Correct.
Yeah. How do those skills kind of translate to the football field?
Being able to play multiple sports, different sports cause you to have to do different things. And I just feel like playing those sports, you're able to transition those different type of techniques and movements and stuff like that onto a football field.
Now, you're not exactly a small guy by any means, and I don't mean that in any derogatory way, obviously. You're 6'5", put on any muscle, leaned out any? What are you weighing in at these days?
Yeah, you always want to be lean. You want to stay quick. Going into every season, you always want to have an upper edge against your opponent, the offensive line across from you.
Yeah, I guess where I was getting with that was you're over probably around the 300-pound limit, give or take, right? And I was just trying to picture at any time. Were you ever like a scrawny, smaller, like just kind of lanky guy? Because I went through a similar phase. I'm the same height, by the way, not quite as big, but I mean, I was a string bean in high school, and I could just picture if you were playing basketball or something, where just like a center or forward, something like that, or
yeah, I was a forward in when I played high school basketball, but I never was like really a scrawny type of guy.
Yeah, that's great. And you know what? I wish our basketball coaches would have had us hit the weights much more. Maybe I would have put some size on. Instead, I was probably getting pushed around by guys like you. So, I mean, it's just kind of funny because I try to think of that in that perspective. It's like, well, I guess, you know what else I always ask guys that are on too? It fascinates me when you played football. Were you ever on the offensive side of the ball too, like a dual-purpose player?
When I was in high school, I played tight end as well.
That's interesting. So good hands, then, I would assume.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that I can still catch the ball a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to put you out there, but you never know. You got Big Al that's out there, and I mean, he towers over everyone. So, So, speaking of maybe some defensive linemen, the Steelers didn't address any of that really in the draft, but they did bring in a free agent in Tyson Alualu who could play anywhere along the line. I know it's just football and shorts right now, but do you see you and Tyson maybe sharing a similar role, or do you think that maybe Tyson's going to maybe be more of a nose tackle type guy along that line?
Honestly, the decision, that decision is always up to the coaching staff. But at the end of the day, we're a team, and at the end of the day, our goal is to win a championship. So however, whatever it takes to get to that, then that's what we're going to do.
So heading into the 2017, heading into training camp right now, and even beforehand, I'm almost certain there was a giant change, not only in scenery, but in the way you prepare, going from college to year one to year two. What's this leap now heading from into now as a veteran player? Do you prepare any differently during the offseason than you did prior?
I mean, at the end of the day, you have to work. You have to become better and better at what you do. You have to look at a lot of film and focus on the things that you did wrong and, find better or different ways to become better and better ways to do different things that you did in the past that are going to make you a better player and make the team a better team.
So you personally, is there anything that you've been doing in between your free time, working with any special trainers, any athletic trainers, specialists at your position in your spare time? My main thing that I want to do is, continue to learn the game, inside and out, knowing more about the game and, how defenses are run and what offenses are going to do to you in certain situations. I feel like that right there, the mental aspect is very important. Now, I said I was going to return back to some of your Michigan roots, of course, and I always ask different players this, but one thing popped in my mind when I think of Central Michigan. Most people think of that and think of the Steelers. They're not thinking of L.T. Walton. They're thinking of Antonio Brown, and I know you guys have years of separation between you, but is there ever any story that you guys have about maybe something that happened on campus that you could relate to?
I mean, me and AB, we talk about Central Michigan quite often in the locker room and stuff like that and joke around about it and everything like that. So, we have that connection and, we know similar people and people that are still there and we still communicate with people there as well.
I mean, it's totally cool if you've got something that stays in the locker room. We know AB aired some things that shouldn't have happened in the locker room, and, it's kind of a chuckle now, but you could keep it there. It's totally cool. So it's just one of those things I always think about. I'm like, well, you got players that it probably doesn't happen as often with the MAC schools, some of your smaller Division I schools, and definitely way smaller colleges like D2s and and that sort of nature. So I thought I'd ask you that. But the one thing that makes me curious a lot of times is who do players, who do they follow when they're younger, when they're kids? You know what I mean? A lot of us, when we're fans, we don't change teams. You know, we don't have the privilege, or we don't move to a different team. You know what I mean? So growing up in Detroit, I mean, you can make an assumption, but do I want to say that you maybe grew up as a Lions fan, or at least paid attention to them?
Actually, when I was younger, I was born in Georgia, so I was always following the Falcons, and growing up, everybody wanted to be like Michael Vick.
Hey, and what was that like? You got to meet him. He playing with you for a little bit there.
Yeah, it was cool. It's just one of those things where you just remember when you were younger, you were playing. Everybody wanted to play as somebody like Michael Vick on a video game, and then years down, you end up being teammates.
Yeah, I think everyone wanted to do like the franchise and dynasty mode with Michael Vick, because you could just run around with him. You just hit the sticks and he's gone. And he was he had an arm on him. I don't know about the accuracy point, but I remember, I remember that Madden game very clearly. I think he was on the cover. And it was crazy. You would do that type of thing and just take the franchise for 10 years, because it was still like we're talking 10 years ago or whatever. So I'm with you on that. I was going to say with the Lions, like, well, we had a segment not too long ago where we were talking about our favorite non-Steelers player. And for me, it was always Barry Sanders, because I used to see a lot of Lions games where I live growing up. So, not disappointed you didn't pick the Lions, because at least the Falcons there, they're up and down, a decent team. Yeah. Deion Sanders, did you get a chance to check out Deion Sanders when he was there, or?
I seen him once when I was younger, at an actual game, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, another great at his position. So another thing I always like to ask everyone too is if you have any nicknames. It seems like yours is pretty simple, LT, which is shortened for Letterius, but do you have any other nicknames that anyone's given you?
Nah, that's just LT.
Yeah, you get off easy there, man. You don't have like J Wobble or anything like that. So
nah.
Or the Sauce God, as I was talking with DeMarcus. So just some of the other funny things that happen. We saw this on Twitter, I think just the other day. You were asked to sign a fidget spinner. You were asked to autograph it.
Yeah.
Is that the strangest thing you've ever had to autograph?
I mean, fidget spinners are obviously something that's in right now, and I don't know. It was just different.
Who in the locker room's carrying around a fidget spinner? I thought it was maybe Roosevelt Nix. I saw maybe in a video or something with it. I just don't remember. I don't remember that, but I mean, there's got to be some odd things, and with a bright future ahead, I'm sure you're going to have many more opportunities to sign autographs for fans. But let's just say in the worst case scenario, well, I don't want to say worst case scenario, because there is a finite life or timeline for anyone's football career. We're not going to be playing. Most people are not playing into age 39 like James Harrison. Where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing with your plans after football?
I don't. I haven't thought about that, into too much detail. I kind of, live my life a day at a time, because you can only look at one day at a time. But honestly, that's something that, me and my family would sit down and talk about and discuss.
So I'm going to ask, do you have your degree from Central Michigan, and what is it in?
Yes, I do have my degree in sport management.
Okay, sports management. So, I mean, that's pretty versatile. You never know. You could end up with a job just about anywhere doing anything. You could still stick around the NFL. You could stick around college football. You may end up with minor league baseball for all we know. But, I mean, that's a pretty solid thing to fall back on. So, hey, you know what? At least you got that. There's some guys that just nothing. You know what I mean? So, there's a future there. The last thing I wanted to ask you was, I always find it interesting to see what kind of hobbies guys have, or maybe there's just something we wouldn't know about you. The great unknown of Letterius Walton, unless we got it from you, and we're getting it from you right now. What should we know about Letterius Walton that we wouldn't know otherwise?
I mean, I'm a pretty laid back type of guy. I honestly, I have a passion for dogs and animals. I got 2 American bullies of my own, and that's something that I take pride in.
Yeah, I'm sure they keep your hands full too.
Yeah, definitely.
So, well, LT, I know it's been a little short and sweet, but I definitely appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule here as we head it. We're just days away from training camp here, so you're going to be reporting on Thursday. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
I mean, just be looking out for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, because we're gonna be better than ever this year. We want to win a world championship.
Yeah, I think you guys are definitely equipped, and in fact, you know what? The defense didn't skip a beat with you out there on the field. Very impressed with the way everything got turned around there, and the future is very bright. You've got a lot of young men on that side of the football, so. I mean, everybody talks about the offense here with, Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Big Ben, and all those guys. But you know what? Don't sleep on the Steelers' defense.
Exactly.
So we can follow you on Twitter. You're very active on Twitter, or are you an Instagram guy?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, and I think it's LT_DT if you want to spell
Correct.
it out for everyone. Underscores
Correct.
or something like that.
Yes, LT_DA as in DA _DT. LT to DT.
I love it. It's perfect. So once again, LT, thanks for joining me on the Steel City Underground podcast. Until next time, folks, be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.